Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for The Last Laugh. So The Last Laugh stars Chevy Chase and another big actor I'm forgetting the name of, and it follows the story of these two guys, and one of them is used to work for comedians, he used to book gigs for them, and one of them is a guy who used to do comedy a lot of years ago, but doesn't do it as much anymore. So they decide in a last-ditch effort to try to entertain themselves, because they're old and they had no other way to entertain themselves, they decide to go on the road and to try to attempt at comedy. And that's the entire plot of the movie. My goal with 2019 was to review more Netflix originals, which is the only reason I watched this movie. Some weekends, you have some movies that I'm actually interested in seeing in. You had Anne Breathed Normally on January 4th, and you had the Fire documentary on January 18th. But on some weekends, there's going to be movies I'm not too looking forward to see, and this was one of them. I didn't think that it looked great, and the reviews were pretty bad for it, so I decided to check it out, and it was a massive disappointment. The Last Laugh is horrible. It's really unfunny. And honestly, I think that the worst thing that a comedy can do to its audience is make them feel awkward. And by awkward, I mean to the point that they feel uncomfortable watching the movie. You can have awkward comedy, but awkward comedy still does something because it brings you into the movie. It makes you feel as if it's awkward, but everyone else in the theater is sharing in the fact that it's awkward, and the movie knows that. So because of that, good filmmakers are able to make it so that you're enthralled in a movie and you care about the characters, and that's why it's awkward. 8th Grade, perfect example of that. But what this movie does is that it doesn't even try for that approach. It tries for your standard comedy approach, which is fine. Obviously, it's not going to be great because it's just standard comedy, but that was fine. But that's not really what ended up happening. What you got was some very awkward feeling scenes with actors that seemed very uninvolved and not too caring, with a lot of scenes that felt very clunky and weird, with editing that just jumped all over the place, and it ended up just being a total mess. And another thing that I hate it when movies do is when they take something like a special talent that takes years and years and years to build on, and it ends up just painting over it like, oh, it's super easy. And I thought A Star Is Born kind of had that problem because they didn't really explain how Ally got such a good voice. She just had it, and then suddenly she was on billboards, and that was my issue with The Star Is Born. And I think The Last Laugh does a similar thing. There's not really a learning curve for the main guy in it to learn comedy again. He kind of just goes on stage, has one awkward show, goes back on stage, and then starts doing well again. And it's just so quick, it's so snappy that it feels awkward. And I think that's just the general theme of this movie, awkward. That's all it is. I think the best thing about it were the performances in it. Chevy Chase, he was all right in it, but the other old guy, I'm completely forgetting his name, he's a big actor too, was great. He added a lot of charisma to it, and those two guys, when they had scenes together, it was terribly written dialogue, but at least it was them together. When you add in other actors, like there's a love interest and there's a daughter in it, all of them were terrible. And when it gets to the older guys, there's a bunch of older guys in the movie, they were also all horrible actors and their chemistry felt terrible. Recently, when I saw Holmes and Watson, I was kind of astonished at the fact that the movie decided to have a singing dance number in the last part of it, because it ran out of things to do, and I was surprised to see that The Last Laugh did exactly that. And honestly, I think that The Last Laugh is on level, comedy-wise, with Holmes and Watson. There's a lot about Holmes and Watson that makes it a lot worse, but in the end, The Last Laugh was just awkward. It was weird, and it was really not entertaining to watch. I will give The Last Laugh a 3.75 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for The Last Laugh. So, what are your thoughts on this film, or what do you think of Chevy Chase as an actor? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.